Hi guys, it's Miss Porter coming to you with your virtual learning assignment number 6 for virtual learning week number 6, and it's a continuation of OpArt. So this is for 3rd grade. In the video you learned about 4 famous artists that kind of focused on optical illusion type art. Back in the 60s is when it all started. You learned about that in your video. So, Victor Vasarely, Bridget Riley, Frank Stella, and Jesus Soto. So, the assignment that you have this week is to create your own optical illusion artwork. So, I'm going to give you step by step on how to create one. This is just the one that I chose for 3rd grade. If you saw one online when you Googled that you want to try, feel free to do that, but it must be optical illusion art and it needs to follow the rules for OpArt, which means that it's got to play tricks on the eyes, make it look like movement or motion on your paper. So here's an example of what 3rd grade will be working on. So it looks like that hand is actually laying down on some stripes. Yours will be a little bit different, but I'm going to hang this here so that you have something to reference. I'm going to put it right over here. And it doesn't matter which way you turn your paper, either portrait or landscape. So again, landscape is if it's this way, portrait is if it's this way. But this is the work of art that 3rd grade will be working on. So, I like to always start by drawing my sheet of paper. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. You don't draw that rectangle, okay? That is my paper. All right, the next step, or the first step for you, will be to draw the hand. So step 1, we'll put it here. Draw the hand. Now, if you're tracing your own hand, you'll have to put your left hand down if you're a right-handed person, or the opposite hand. Whichever hand you write with, you put the other one down. If you have brothers or sisters or a parent that's nearby, you can have them trace your hand. So all you do is lay your hand down, and I'll move out of the way in a second, and then you trace the outside of your hand. All the way down to the edge of your paper. So your hand takes up the entire sheet of paper. All right? I would prefer for you to use a pencil when you're doing this, because in that way you can go and erase your pencil marks later. But for now, I'm using a marker. It's going to be hard for me to erase because it is dry erase. So what we're going to do now, I actually need a ruler. So let me step away for a second, grab my ruler. And what you will do is you're going to use a ruler to draw lines, horizontal lines, all the way down your paper. But make sure you draw that hand first. I'm going to start at the top and try not to erase anything. And I'm just going to use the width of my ruler to do this first part. If you don't have a ruler, you can just try to draw straight horizontal lines. I know a lot of your school supplies are still at school. Now, when you get to the hand, you want to draw over to the edge of the fingers and skip over. Do not draw on top of your fingers. See how I skipped? And my lines are a little bit crooked because I'm standing to the side, but it's okay. I'm going to keep going all the way to the bottom of my paper. Just make sure you're skipping in between those fingers. just keep going all the way down. And you can stop here if you want, but I like to make mine a little bit thinner. So I would use a ruler and do this, but for time's sake, because I want you to go ahead and get started on your project, I'm just going to kind of freehand it. So step 2 was to draw horizontal lines all the way down the paper or around the hand. So like I said, I wanted lines in between, so I'm just going to draw lines. I still don't want to cross over my hand. And I want to make sure I touch my hand. All right. Here is where, if you're following along, you can pause the video and get this part done. All right. So now that you've had a chance to kind of take your time and get that part done, this next part can get a little bit tricky. So anytime you draw curved lines, it makes it look like something is curved. For example, if I drew a cup, I have to curve it on the bottom and I have to curve it at the top to make it look 3D. I can now do curved lines around it, and that makes it look even more curved or 3D. All right? That's what we're going to do on the hand. So we're going to start right here on the fingers. So wherever there are 2 dots or 2 intersecting lines, so I don't want you to draw the dots, but I just want to show you what I'm talking about. So between here and here is a space. So what I'm going to do is draw a curved hump to connect. I'll bring the camera closer so you can see in just a second. I'm going to do that everywhere there is a connection. So it's like instead of drawing a straight line, I'm doing a curved bump on my fingers so that it looks like my hand is actually above those lines. All right, so I'm going to take the camera a little bit closer so you can see up close what I did. All right, the same thing I did on the fingers, I have to do on the thumb as well. So here's a hump. And now I've got to do the hand. The hand hump is bigger. It's taller. Actually, I'm going to erase this one. And I'm going to take it to the corner of the hand. Because really, there's a hump here for the thumb. So here, I'm going to do that. Again, I'll come closer so you guys can see. And I'm actually going over to the edge of the paper. So I'm just going to move this closer so you can see. Now, on this one, I put a heart up there. You could have done that as well. All you needed to do was draw the heart first, and then on the heart, you put those humps or bumps over. And you're pretty much done with the base of what you want to do. Now, what I did with this particular one, I went in with different color markers, and I just repeated those lines. I'm going to show you guys a different way to do yours. Because I don't know who does and who doesn't have colors, I'm only going to stick with one color. So your color can be black, it can be red, it can be green, whatever color. So I'm going to stick with black and white just because I know some people don't have colors. So all I'm going to do is fill in every other area with my color. So if this was red, I would color red, skip one, skip, okay? Now right here, the fingernail kind of comes into that black, so I want to keep that where I can still see my fingernail. Looks pretty easy so far, right? It's gonna get a little tricky when you come down to the fingers. So I'm gonna skip this, come here, color my black, notice I'm coloring around my finger. So I'm starting with my background. All right, I'm going to skip and come to this next one. Notice I went in between those fingers. All right, skip, go to the next one. Go around the tip of that thumb. All right, skipping. And this will take a while, so you have a whole week to work on this. If you mess up, if you have extra paper, you can try to start over. Or maybe you want to start with a pencil, and that way you can erase before you start adding color. All right, we're almost done with this part. Like I said, the tricky part is going to be when we start filling in on the hand. So I don't have anything else over here, so now I just come and fill in these last two. And that's the other thing about using just one color, whether it's black and white or blue and white or red and white. You have less work to do. It does look cool though when you have more color. So if this was black and red, it would look really cool. Or black and yellow, or yellow and blue. Or you could do the complementary colors. See if you guys remember that. Complementary colors are red and green. Orange and blue is another set. And then yellow and purple. All right. So that part is done. And if you kind of look, my sweater is kind of the same way. All right, so now what we want to do is we need to go in and figure out what parts of the hand need to be colored in. So on this row where it's white, the thing with doing optical illusion art like this, or even if it's the one like for the upper grade kids, you have to do every other in order for it to look like an optical illusion. So on this first row where everything is white, I have to keep this part white, but the finger part, I color in black. So on this row, it's white, then black, white, black, white. On this row, it was black except for the tips of those fingers. So now, and then this finger actually comes up into the white, so I've got to color that too. I leave the black one, the black row I leave. Now I have to skip and come to the white row. I go over to the finger. And I color every other. So white, black, white, black, white in between the fingers, black on the finger, white, then black. That row is done. This row is done. Black, white, black, white, black, white, black, white, black. I've got to come to this one. And that's how you're going to finish doing the Optical Illusion hand or the OpArt hand. All right, black, white, black. Now we've got white, black. This has to be black. White. This part becomes black. And now white. Skip that one because we've got black, white, black. Now we go white, black. And you just continue that rhythm or pattern. And again, feel free to pause the video whenever you need so that you can keep up and follow. And I am done. So when you look at that, it actually looks like that hand might come off the paper. Now, if I wanted to, I could come in with a thicker line just to kind of make that hand stand out more. Or you could leave it just like you have it. And your OpArt is finished. Looks pretty cool, right? All right, so step 1 was to draw your hand. Step 2 was to draw horizontal lines across and around your hand. Step 3 was to alternate colors or coloring. And again, if you were doing blue and orange, you do blue, orange, blue, orange, blue, orange, blue, orange. And then on the hand, same thing. Okay? So, I look forward to seeing the artwork from you. And again, in closing, Optical Illusion Art has been around since the mid-60s. It kind of died down around the end of 60, I think in 1968. These were the 4 most famous artists. A lot of OpArt was black and white, but if you looked and you Googled, you saw lots of different colors. Victor Vasarely, he used lots of colors on his. Bridget Riley was more so black and white based on what I could tell. And her lines were just so thin, it made it look like there was movement. They did OpArt on clothing. Like I said, you can even see some of it here in my sweater. Just various fabric designs had the Optical Illusion Art. So I ask that you try either this one or that one. I'll bring the camera closer so that you can see both. And then this one is just repeated lines with different colors of a fine point marker. And then that heart was just red and pink. All right. So hopefully you guys will be able to produce some cool artwork that I can see, and I look forward to it. Make sure you upload it. into the assignment on Verge, or if you want to send me a message with it uploaded or an email, that would be great. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye.